Time with Herman and Sharron.
Thank you, Brooke. That was Brooke, Sharron.
Yes, it was.
You realize?
Everybody knows Brooke.
You realize that? Yeah, she's
At least her voice.
Everybody that works at the Christian Television Network, at least here in this particular location, have multiple jobs. I mean,
That's good.
We take care of our own garbage.
That's right.
We clean our own bathrooms. We vacuum our own offices. So,
Keeps us all humble,
that's right.
Herman.
So Brooke
Keeps
is
you humble.
so Brooke is my announcer. Okay.
Yes, right.
We have a guest that came back,
Yes, because we enjoyed him so much. He's
That's right.
got so much information.
and he's from Edmond, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've never seen
Here we go.
Edmond, because I looked at their travel log on my phone, and it's beautiful, just gorgeous. In fact, this home right back here is Edmond, Washington, looking out over Puget Sound.
That's right.
I was just telling Rick Wolf, our head of production, that you can actually, when we were at the home, remember that home we stayed at in Washington?
Yes.
On the Puget Sound?
That
and
was
then
gorgeous.
the whales, you see them coming up out of the water,
Yeah.
and you hear that wailing sound that a whale has.
Say it, Herman. What is it?
Okay,
Okay, that's enough.
This is my guest's latest book.
Healing Depression for Life.
Yeah,
Boy,
this-
you know how many people need that? You know how many people are suffering with depression now?
I used to.
Many, many people,
You married
seems
one.
like.
You married one.
But even
I
more
was-
so today.
I spent most of my life depressed, truthfully.
Until he married me,
Yeah.
and now he's over it.
And you know, I often tell people in college, I mean, she was the most beautiful girl in college.
That's
I mean, bar none.
Okay.
And so we're celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. It's over, okay? We already celebrated. And but we used to be allowed. We were allowed. Put it right. We were allowed to sit with our date or whatever in their lunchroom. It was a very strict school. They had a 6-inch rule. If I got closer than 6 inches, I could get expelled. If I did this, I would get written up. Okay, so it was strict. So we're sitting in the lunchroom. Get this picture. Get this picture. We're sitting in the lunchroom, and so I tell her I was in one of my moods. I mean, I'm depressed all the time. So I said, I hope you don't want to talk tonight because I'm not talking. And she just kind of sat there very quietly, didn't say anything or whatever. And the family
He's analyzing you right
and
now.
the family after that said to her, "Well, he warned you. I mean,
What were you thinking?
you know, what were you thinking? I mean,
Yeah, well, he started talking later on.
yeah, but so I spent a lot of my time growing up depressed and very suicidal. I mean, I would like wake up and say, "Where am I going to do it today? How am I going to do it?"
Our guest is going to tell you what was wrong with you, and he's going to tell his story too. So it's going to be very interesting.
Would you welcome my guest, Gregory L. Jantz, PhD?
That's right.
He earned it.
Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yes,
You
hi,
too.
You may
Sharron.
have a seat right
All
there.
right.
Thank you for coming back.
Oh, yes.
Do you
Such
feel-
an important topic. too.
Yeah. Do you feel there's more depression now in this day and age than there used to be maybe 50 years ago?
Yes, I do think there's more depression, and the World Health Organization tells us it's the #1 disability in the world.
Really?
So they call it a disability.
You mean I could have got disability?
So, yeah, probably. So it is significant.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we all know somebody,
Yeah.
or we're living with somebody.
Keep that shot, Dave, because
Yes.
Sharron is going to read about
Yeah, we have to
this
find out.
PhD, Dr. Gregory Jantz.
Okay, Dr. Jantz is the founder of the Center, a place of hope in Washington State, which was voted one of the top 10 facilities in the United States for the
Man.
treatment of depression, which is what we're talking about today.
Wow.
He's a mental health expert who has pioneered whole person holistic care, popular speaker, been on many television stations and also in many magazines.
Wow.
So
It
we
is
are
neat to
very
have
happy
you.
to have him today.
We go back, not that we've done it every year, but we go back probably 20 years.
It was a while ago, yes.
And,
Yeah.
and Now, I'm sure you didn't have that facility back when we talked then, did you?
Yes, this is our 36th year.
Wow, they
Oh, my
sure did
goodness.
then.
Yes, so
And your facility sits on Puget Sound.
it's right there in beautiful Puget Sound
Edmond,
area.
Washington.
Yep.
So that would make more people want to get help.
Well,
You're
it's just
saying
a
you're going
nice
to Puget
setting.
Sound.
Yeah.
This
Beautiful.
is
Yeah.
so relevant today. Dave, if you can put that whole passage on the screen, I'm going to have Dr. Greg Jantz read
Sure.
this, but this is appropriate because this kind of thing has just happened recently.
Yeah. Well, the mass shootings, for example, these are just incredible. In El Paso, the 21-year-old suspect who is son of a licensed therapist and nurse. How about that? Killed
Yeah.
20 people, injured 26. And here's the clue. On social media, he wrote, "I spend about 8 hours a day on the computer."
Yeah.
Is that incredible?
Yeah.
Here's another one in Ohio. This person was identified as a deceased gunman who killed his sister.
Yeah.
She was 22 years old and 8 other people. At least 26 other people were injured. So those who knew him knew that he had a history of violent ideation, and he was actually suspended from school because he had a hit list of women he wanted to kill, a rape list of females that he wanted to sexually assault. So he was violent.
Oh my
So we live in a culture
Yeah.
where there's a lot of despair,
Now, is
depression and despair, and violence.
What you just read, is that relevant to depression?
It is, because we know that these individuals were depressed and despair. They may have been even suicidal themselves, and that's why many times they'll take their own life. But
And
they're-
somebody else too.
Yes,
Yeah.
their own life and others.
Yeah.
Yes, because there's no longer a value of life.
I don't know whether you just heard about this, but this is recent.
Yeah.
A mega church pastor,
Yes.
Jared Wilson,
Yes.
dies by suicide. He struggled with depression.
Yes.
He pastored a 15,000 member church, Harvest Christian Fellowship, Riverside, California, left a beautiful wife and
Yes.
2 children.
Right.
Just a gorgeous family.
So he also did a lot of work to help
Yes.
those who were depressed.
He
and
had a
suicide.
whole
ministry.
ministry.
Yeah.
Now, okay, it's hard. I mean, I was depressed. Like I said, that's a true story about me.
Yeah.
I can't get my head around
Yeah.
that if I had been married with a couple of kids, and maybe I would have been married with a couple of kids and
Right.
with a going minute, just like TV ministry, and
Yeah.
I take myself out. Now, how do you get to that place?
Yeah, there's a line we cross over when we have depression that it's that despair, and then I'm in a non-reality, and I don't see any other options. It's such. So when I say non-reality, they really, one foot is out of reality because they're no longer thinking with any clarity, and so they're going to make very irrational decisions. And that's the seriousness of depression. You can have great intent on helping others, but you've got to have, and I don't know the specifics with this pastor, but he needed something he wasn't getting. And I don't know what it was.
Do you speculation? This is nothing I read. And you're the expert. Are the people hiding something that they are just fearing this
Well-
will come out?
There could be a hidden addiction.
Yeah.
Could be sexual addiction, but sometimes there's a hidden something that is hidden that's really fueling that depression.
Yes.
How
So-
about a chemical imbalance in a brain? Could it
Absolutely.
be just that?
You know, here's the thing. It could be just that.
Okay.
There is so
So
many.
medication could have helped him.
Well, let's
don't-
see
yeah.
what he said.
Yeah. Well, there's so many different reasons for depression. I'm sitting here at your table. We have a table at home. My wife went through chemotherapy, and she
What
has
did she
she had breast cancer, and so she had chemo, but she never really got her brain back for the longest time. She said, "I have chemo brain. I can't concentrate," and so she has these 1,000-piece puzzles. Right?
Yes.
And I'm I'm at home and I'm going, I don't get why you do these puzzles. What?
Sharon
For
put
me-
together a 500
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
500,
And
that's
she
it.
said, well, it's helping my brain. I'm getting my brain back. You know, and that's really, I looked at that puzzle and I go, okay, that's what we are. We're all a 1,000-piece puzzle. And we all have unique pieces.
Good expression.
And what we do at the Center, A Place of Hope, is we help people get the pieces to the puzzle together. And with depression, there can be different pieces. Something that maybe we're not even aware of. There could be physical side, could be perhaps, as you mentioned, Sharon, chemical imbalance, could be thyroid issues, hormonal issues, digestive issues, on and on, nutrient deficiencies. We always test people to see if they have deficiencies in certain key nutrients, like vitamin D and depression goes together, for example. So a lot of different reasons for depression. And my point is, using this whole person approach, let's stay in the game. We've got to figure out what all the missing pieces are. And pray for wisdom. Lord God, show me what I need to know here.
But taking myself back to depression,
Yeah.
I didn't want help.
Right.
I mean, somebody could have come along and said, well, this, you know, I go, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
What got me, and this is weird, this is after marriage and family and everything, what got me out of the depressed thing,
Yeah.
again, I tried to kill myself by running so hard that I'd explode my heart.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, I literally planned that.
Okay.
And I came out of depression.
Exercise.
Yes, I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So, and we know, and we always help individuals who come to get help get on we call it a movement plan.
Yeah.
Sometimes the word exercise, like the word diet, is not a positive word, but we're going to help you really increase your activity. And I know when we do that, and something as simple as drinking water, because when you're depressed, you tend not to do the good things or enough of them.
True.
And we tend to go then and do things that are unhealthy. So if you're depressed, you're not exercising, usually you're not eating well.
Yeah.
A depressed person usually wants a lot of sugar, and I talk about some of that in the book, about what that does to you.
Yes.
So there's a lot of different things that you may be doing that are contributing to the depression.
But if you're in depression, you don't care, right?
You don't have the energy to care.
Yeah, that's right.
So and I had my time. I went through a season.
Now, tell me about you.
Sure. So I have a wonderful family. I have 2 sons. When we had started the facility years ago, I had the yes disease. I said yes to everything.
You have that kind of personality.
So
You
I said,
do.
yes, I can. Yes, I'll see you. And so I was seeing clients or patients 6 days a week, in the evening, and I was burned out, but I kept going, and kept going. But I wasn't practicing what I was preaching.
Yes.
I wasn't taking good care of myself. My nutrition was terrible. I didn't exercise. Slowly over time, and again, it's subtle.
Yeah.
I really developed a depression that really had a stronghold on me, and I was so much.
Did you think suicide?
No, I came to the place where I felt I had to change jobs, change career. This is
So the midlife crisis type thing.
But it was like. This was earlier on in my career. It's like
Too early for that, huh?
whoa. So, and I think it took me a year to rebuild.
Did you know what was happening?
I
mean, you're a professional.
Yeah, I did know, but I needed help myself to get out of it.
Took you a year.
It took me a year physically to rebuild, my physical well-being, and to also I had to be really humbled and put appropriate boundaries around time. I had to really practice my own self-care. It came to that point. I worked a lot with eating disorders early on, and it's like.
Did you ever have an eating problem?
Well, I could hardly wait to get home to have my half gallon of ice cream too.
Really?
So I just started having and so I was unhealthy in weight.
Yeah.
I didn't feel good, and I didn't sleep good. And if you have depression, your sleep is usually not good.
You're sleep deprived, aren't you? Which makes it worse.
Well, and I did a couple years of sleep research,
which is in the book. You have a whole chapter, chapter 2,
on sleep.
Sound asleep.
Yes, yes. Because we have got to go through those sleep stages, get enough of the certain stages of sleep. Otherwise, we're going to have anxiety. We're going to have depression. Sleep is.
So how do you know you're getting a good night's sleep?
There you go.
Well, a good night's sleep, we know that we still need an average at least 7 hours. And we also know.
You can't make yourself sleep, though.
That's true.
You can't.
And sometimes there's different things we do. We do a sleep study on our patients to see, okay, what's going on. Is there sleep apnea? Sleep apnea is a hidden reason for depression. And that's when a person stops breathing for a period of time while they're sleeping.
Well, they got those machines you put on your face. You got to be kidding me. People wear those, right?
Well, yes, or they're actually getting better and better. For some people, a simple mouth guard might, depending on the type of sleep apnea. But I'm just saying, sleep apnea that people may have can create depression.
Now, stress is a big factor.
Chronic stress. Right? Chronic stress, yeah. So
how do you? Okay, you're in a stress business.
Yes.
Okay, how do you deal with that?
Well, part of it is really making sure that I'm having, quality relationship with my family, that I am really practicing what I'm preaching. I decided at some point I want to be an example of how this works. So I had to make some decisions.
Oh, that's good.
I really want to be an example. I know what it's like to feel that despair. But I also know what it's like to rebuild and to live differently.
You talk about uncovering hidden addictions.
Yes.
Can set you free.
So for some, I know we've mentioned before the whole area of sexual addiction, online pornography, digital addiction, people who misuse, sometimes medications can be a big one. I would toss out gambling could be one. So people that are trying to keep things secret, that really is an addiction fuels depression. The more you have that addiction, the more depression and anxiety you're going to have.
I got to the place where I despised anything that I felt was controlling me.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I like the way he says, He understood that.
Yeah.
He understood that.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, because we want to maintain that control or feel like we're empowered.
That's the key. Feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What we don't always realize is the power and control that depression has in our life.
Yes.
So, and sometimes we've got to give up control in order to experience.
Are you a
freedom.
control freak?
No.
Okay.
No.
What is a control freak?
Well, I would say that's probably a perfectionist that has gone to the extreme. They feel like they have to control everything, so it's all going to turn out a certain way.
Don't say it, Sharron.
So, in our next program, we'll talk about perfectionism.
Okay. You talk about chapter 6, the 3 deadly emotions.
Oh, yes.
Anger, guilt, and fear.
Yes. Okay, so if I'm going to live a life free of depression, I have to learn how to manage these emotions. Anger, another word for anger could be hurt. I've been hurt. I've been traumatized. How am I going to handle anger and hurt? Fear. How am I going to handle worry? How am I going to handle anxiety in my life? And then guilt. True guilt means I've goofed. I need to seek forgiveness. But how about false guilt? It's really that shame that says I'm defective. I'm unlovable. So
You said false guilt.
false guilt would be, maybe I grew up in a home where I just learned to feel guilty about everything. I'm taking up space. I kind of feel guilty.
Yeah.
So the false guilt. But it also teaches you shame. And shame says I'm defective. So anger, fear, and guilt, I call them potentially the 3 deadly emotions.
Yeah, you could. I mean, that's serious.
So, well, you think about a person, they've got injured, they were abused, something wasn't right, and they're angry and they're hurt. Well, that's going to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe 20 years later, you're still carrying that around.
Does it control your thoughts?
Well,
That stuff
can.
controls your
And,
thoughts.
we get embittered, we have resentments, and we don't even realize, oh, all that's tied to my depression. If there's one single emotion that everybody has to walk through, and that's forgiveness. Forgiving ourselves, forgiving others. So people who live free of depression I call them initiators of forgiveness. They're forgiving people. They're not going to let themselves become toxic with unforgiveness.
Now you say, page 102 when you get your book, forgiveness does not come naturally.
Yeah, it doesn't. In fact, we always have this, like, why would I forgive?
I didn't do anything,
You
right?
know, yeah, forgiveness means I'm giving up power or something. So, you know, sometimes people say, well, I'm just not ready to forgive.
Yeah.
Well, when will you ever be ready to forgive? Remember, forgiveness is for us. It's not for the other person. I think some of the toughest forgiveness really is that of self-forgiveness. Forgiving
that's true.
ourselves for mistakes that we feel like,
Oh, you're right. You're right.
that's a tough one.
You're right.
Do you ever deal with obsessive compulsive personalities?
So, yes, yep. And by the way, a person with OCD is it's a depression and anxiety disorder.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
She's asking questions about her
I'm
husband.
kind of living with somebody like
Yeah.
that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody we know?
No.
But what causes that? I mean, it's like, and trust me, I work on it all the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, it's like, if this isn't just
Yeah.
right.
This is
Yeah.
psychoanalyzing
yeah,
Herman Day
but,
today.
But,
Yeah.
but what in the world? I mean, my parents didn't say, "Now, I tell you
Yeah.
what I want you to do. Whenever you see a label that isn't faced out, put that label face out." It doesn't happen that way. What goes on?
Well, actually, that can be something that's really good, too. A person that has a high need for order, that can be good. But when it creates distress for us or for people we live with, then I say, well, that's crossing a line.
But I'm not that bad, am I?
No,
Yeah.
it's not
but
that.
but if I like things in order, I like to have a sense of order.
Yeah.
I know how things need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just kind of chuckle. You know, it
Yeah.
just makes me chuckle sometimes.
Because
The
I-
way he has to do things.
I
you
do
know,
the
it's
kitchen.
like-
Yeah.
Okay, I
That'd drive me
clean
crazy.
dishes and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like
But
Sure.
now he's telling me, you know, you got to put this way. You got over here, and you
yeah.
should
So
put it here. And
I
I'm going,
work on not, because I have to have the cups a certain way.
Oh, okay.
And so I work on, just walk away, Herman.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you say spiritual practices are essential to healing room for depression.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So it's all
spiritual,
spiritual.
you have
Well-
to get in that, and how do you? Because you have secular people coming, right?
Anybody
I mean,
that
they don't
wants
come
help.
in and say, I'm a Christian.
Right. Yeah, we have people who just want help. So here's what I know, and we integrate faith, and we believe that's our foundation. People who recover, and it's been a year, when we've surveyed them later, they say, everything I learned was great, and all the changes I made, but it really has been developing my faith that's really kept me on the path. Wow. And so clients will say that. So we know it's part of the whole person.
Do you ever have prayer with them?
So when people would like to have that, absolutely. But we also will pray for those that are with us as a staff.
Right.
Because people are coming because they need breakthroughs in their
Yeah.
life. They need to have insights. They need to be able to have a plan.
You talk about it again. I mean, the book is you really.
This really is
you
my
really,
life work
You
on
really
depression.
write well.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Do you structure it?
I do, and this there's so much
That's
to
what
say.
I look at is how it's structured.
Yeah.
This is well done.
Thank you. Well, and I just want to add, it's really my life's work up to this point on depression. And it really is, I want people to know, maybe you've struggled with this for 20 years. I want people to know, stay with it. There's going to be a way out. Don't give up.
But it's so sad when you read these stories
Yeah.
about the younger people that have,
Well, see-
fought it so long, and finally it takes them over.
And Sharron, we have a generation of young people that have a lot of apathy for their futures.
That's true.
So
They hear
we have
it
a
all
lot
the time.
of entitlement, and we have a lot of apathy where the future doesn't look great, so what's it matter?
Yeah, that's true.
Chapter 9, for example, you need physical activity. We're talking about in the area of depression, because that's what healing depression for
Yes.
life. Physical activity provides a massive boost to your mood and metabolism.
Yes.
I found that out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the story I told you.
Yeah.
I mean, I was intending that it would explode me, my heart.
It really helped your heart.
And it
Well, those endorphins, and
That's
it was
what it
actually
was.
That's what it is.
cleaning your brain too.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
it probably affected sleep. So what we do know is that if we can really get a person on an appropriate exercise program, not to the extreme, and get some good nutrition,
Yeah.
we're starting to build a foundation that is really going to pay off.
Chapter 11.
yes.
Detox your body.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and here's what we have nutrition and dietitians on staff. We do natural health care as well. So we know that detox, and sometimes if a person's had a history of addiction,
Yeah.
you know, really their body is polluted.
Yes, it is.
So,
It is.
so, and maybe they haven't had enough water. They're not doing things that keep them clean. So we're going to be big on rebuilding the whole digestion.
I like this chapter, chapter 12. Now he has a total of 14 chapters, and it's broke down into part 1,
Yeah.
mind, part 2, soul, part 3, body, mind, soul, body. Really great. And I like chapter 12 says, "Is your gut stuck in a rut?"
Yeah, yeah.
So there's the body again.
So there, yes, we know, for example, that intestinal flora is going to be really important because it's going not only help you with digestion, but we manufacture most of our serotonin, and you've heard the chemicals serotonin and dopamine. Well, the gut manufactures it, and it goes to the brain. If our gut is not healthy, we're not manufacturing the chemicals that we need. So, and this is one area that gets really overlooked in a lot of depression treatment. Never think to look at the gut.
Yeah.
But the
Right.
gut, it's just one of those pieces of the puzzle. We've got to get that healthy.
So when they walk into your establishment,
Yes.
do you look at them and say, "How's your gut?"
Well, yeah, we get to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how many weeks?
When somebody comes
Yes.
for depression, well, 4 weeks is where we start.
Wow.
There are some folks that need to stay a little longer. But yeah.
I literally endorse this. I mean, it is so well written,
Yeah.
and it's a keeper. Some books you read and, "Hey Joe, you want this?" This will be a keeper for you, but it is well
Thank
written.
you.
And let me tell you something. This is the temple of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Knowing Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, key to everything. There has to be a time in your life when you say, "Lord, forgive me of all of my sin. I'm inviting you right now to come into my heart and life. Take me over. Be my personal Lord and Savior."
Yeah.
He will do that.
That's right.
Read at least 2 chapters today. God bless you. Bye-bye.